Welcome to the Geek Artist Gamer channel. In this video, I'm going to break down the expedition mechanic in Path of Exile 2. I will show you how it works on regular maps, on special expedition logbooks, and what rewards you can get from this content. You can find expedition encounters on maps marked with this icon. If a map doesn't naturally contain an expedition, but you want to focus on this mechanic, you can add it manually by placing a special expedition tablet into the towers found on endgame maps. Expeditions found on regular maps consist of a single NPC, modifier altars, flags, banners, and explosive charges. The NPCs are Danik, Fusion, Rock, and Gwennen. Modifier altars affect the difficulty of the expedition. They make monsters stronger, but in return, they improve the quantity and rarity of dropped items. Another element is the flags, which are used to summon monsters at the site of explosive detonations. A larger flag increases the chance of summoning a rare monster. Banners are used to extract a chest from the ground at the site of an explosive detonation. There are three types of banners: normal, magical, and rare. Explosive charges are interactive elements used to activate altars, flags, and banners. Let's go over the rewards you can get from expeditions on regular maps, besides standard items and currency. First, there's expedition currency, 5 types in total. 4 are tied to the NPC you get. Gwennen drops Broken Circle artifacts, Rock drops Order artifacts, Fusion gives Black Site artifacts, and Danik gives Sun artifacts. One more type, exotic coinage, can drop in any expedition. The second reward is a tablet that adds expeditions to map when placed in a tower. The third is a logbook, which opens a map that's one big expedition. I'll explain that later. Since we know what expeditions on maps consist of and what they can drop, let's move on to the strategy for placing explosive charges. First and the most important thing is that we have 5 charges at our disposal, and they have a limited range and area of effect. The second crucial point is that the modifiers from activated altars only affect the monsters and chests that are triggered in the same explosion and in any subsequent ones. For example, if during the second explosion you activate an altar, it will not affect the monsters triggered by the first explosion. However, it will affect the monsters triggered by the second, third, fourth, and fifth explosion. Another important aspect is the priority of the elements you choose to activate. Here's the approach I personally follow. My goal is to form a lot of logbooks, so I try to place as many monster flags as possible within the blast radius. It's a bonus if I can also include some chests. I've also established a priority list for altar modifiers: double runic monsters, more logbooks, more rare monsters, more item quantity, and more item rarity. That said, it's crucial not to fall into the trap of focusing solely on altars while barely activating any monster flags. It's usually better to hit more monster flags even if it means skipping an altar. And one very important tip: avoid activating altars that make monsters immune to the damage type your build relies on. The logbook is an item that allows Danik to open a portal to a special map, which is essentially one large expedition. Each logbook leads to one of 2 locations where specific expedition currency drops and comes with modifiers that affect the expedition's conditions. For example, the range of placed explosive charges, the explosion radius, and so on. The general mechanics of a logbook are the same as expeditions on regular maps. We have monster markers, chest banners, remnants, and explosive charges. The main differences are more explosive charges, special chests with specific loot, blow-up strongboxes, monster-filled underground areas, and the entrance to Olrod's Tomb, the boss fight everyone wants. The link to the video showing the boss fight can be found in the description. Logbooks are mainly done to reach the boss and get unique items that it drops. The most valuable one is the life flask called Olrod's Resolve, which instantly heals you, and any overheal is stored as a barrier. As of the 15th of May 2025, the price of this item is 9 divine orbs. Here are the other unique items, which I won't describe because I haven't used them. Besides those uniques, we'll also get artifacts, regular currency, and gear items. The endgame content of Expedition is the boss Olrod. To encounter him, you need to run logbooks with a minimum level of 79. Based on my own testing, with a sample of 40 logbooks, I would say the chance is around 30%. Killing the boss gives us points that we can spend in the Atlas skill tree in the Expeditions section. You earn 2 points for defeating Olrod at each logbook difficulty level. The points you spend affect expeditions on regular maps, increase logbook difficulty, reduce the number of allowed respawns, and improve the loot that drops. Let's now go over the expedition related points on the Atlas tree. We have small nodes, each of which increases logbook difficulty and reduces the number of respawns. And then there are the large nodes. Let's go over each one now. Disturbed Rest, your maps contain 30% increased number of runic monster markers. Detailed Records, 30% increased quantity of expedition logbooks dropped by runic monsters in your maps. Expedition logbooks found in your maps always have 3 implicit modifiers. Timed Detonations, 50% increased quantity of artifacts dropped by monsters in your maps. Expedition detonation chains in your maps travel 50% faster. Legendary Battles, 50% increased number of rare expedition monsters in your map, 50% increased quantity of exotic coinage dropped by monsters in your map. Wave of History, 35 increased effect of remnants in your maps. Trial Treasures, expedition encounters in your maps contain 3 additional chest markers, but chests in your maps despawn after 5 seconds. Extreme Archaeology, number of explosives is 1, 150% increased explosive radius, and 100 increased explosive placement range in your maps. Unearthed Anomalies, remnants in your maps have an additional prefix and suffix modifier. Finally, let's discuss the strategy for placing explosive charges. When entering a logbook, we need to plan the placement of explosive charges so that we can reach the most valuable targets. I focus on them in this order. First, the tomb with the boss. Then, the underground area without the boss. Next are the hordes with regular currency found on the Lush Isle map and strong boxes located on the Barren Atoll. On the way to these targets, we try to blow up as many monster markers, chest banners and remnants as possible. We activate remnants in a way that increases the number of rare monsters, the size of monsters group, as well as the quantity and rarity of items. Let's be careful not to make monsters immune to our attacks when activating remnants. At the very end of the video, I'll show you what artifacts are used for. You can use them to buy and then modify items with one of the expedition NPCs. Fusion offers us rings, amulets and belts. Gwenan offers weapons. Rogue has armor for us, and Danik allows us to buy a different expedition currency. I will show you how it works in practice. We'll buy an item from Tugen and then modify it. Each NPC is paid with a specific currency tied to them. In Tugen's case, it's the Black Site artifact. If none of the items suits us, we can reroll them by paying 1 exotic coinage. Alright, here we have got 3 charms slot, lots of life, and it's tier 10, so let's take this item. We pay for it using the currency assigned to the NPC. At this point, we'll have the option to modify the selected item. If we are happy with it, we can just click Take Item. Otherwise, we can choose to modify it, and here we have 2 options. We can skip a specific modification, but the next one will cost 50% more, and we can't skip 2 times in a row. If we like the modification, we click Upgrade. The cost is shown right here. We'll add a modifier and make the item rare, just like using a regal orb. We can see that we got tier 1 cold resistance, so yeah, pretty weak. The next modification is a prefix reroll, but for this item we don't want that, so we'll skip this one. Now we can add a suffix, kind of like using an exalted orb. Let's take this upgrade and see what comes next. The added life regeneration mod is pretty weak. Luckily, we've got the option to reroll the suffixes again, and since they are all still bad, we'll go for the upgrade. So far, only the prefix is worth keeping. Oh, this looks way better now. We got 27 strength and a high lightning resistance. Definitely some good mods, you have to admit. The next modification Tugen suggests is rerolling the suffixes, but we won't do that. We'll take the item as it is. So this is how crafting works using this mechanic. As you can see, it's a way to modify items while having control over the process. A neat alternative to classic crafting in Path of Exile 2. Ah, I almost forgot. There's also the Recombinator in the hideout. It's used to mix items together, and you pay for it with artifacts depending on the item type. We take 2 items of the same type. Here, the recombination cost is shown. We choose the modifiers we want to transfer to the new item. From this one, I would be interested in the resistances, and from the other, if we transferred life and resistance, that would be perfect. Let's note that the more modifiers we select, the lower the chance of a successful recombination. Let's take the risk. The chance is very low, but if it works, we'll have a powerful item. Alright, let's see if it works. Unfortunately, it didn't work. In this case, both items are destroyed. And that's it for activities related to expeditions. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it and found it useful, drop a like, leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate any feedback. It helps me make better stuff next time. Thanks again and good luck on your expeditions. See ya!